I have depression, which leads to some level of anxiety. But the main thing is sort of what, as the doctor described it, textbook depression. So the usual things of an element of loss of hope, I guess, that feeling of lack of achievement, feeling sort of sad and low a lot of the time, and also that kind of manifests itself in a more of a physical form for me, which is where I feel I'm being crushed. So it's almost like I'm tense, or so tense all the time that the muscles give me the sensation that there's a pressure being crushing me down. And the other one is I have a tendency to hear voices, which are supposed to be a manifestation of that sort of loss of hope and feeling that I'm not achieving anything. So it's not it's when I say I hear voices, it's not a distinct thing. It's more like it's like the chatter you might hear in a restaurant. So I don't think there was a specific point in my life that I can pinpoint, and through various amounts of counselling I've been through, there isn't a specific period of time in my life that probably could have triggered the depression. When I went through a course of counselling, and one of the things they talked about was that my self-identity had probably been damaged in some way. Quite what triggered that damage, never been able to find a single event that caused it. But depression runs through my family, particularly on my dad's side. So the chances are that there was always an element of depression there, but it didn't sort of appear on the surface until much later in life, until I was about late 20s. I've tried to redevelop my self-identity by kind of redeveloping my self-belief, which has been the focus. So rather than always focus on negative aspects of things that happen in my life, I've tried to focus on all the positive things that keep going in my life, and I maintain a log of those. I actually write down anything that positive that's happened in my life. I write that down, and I keep returning to that. So any moments where I'm feeling down or sort of losing my self-belief, I go and look at the positive things in my life, and I try and rebuild that self-belief. It's been a long process of kind of getting myself back on my feet, and to begin with, I just used medication as the starting point to get myself back to a sort of a level of normality, should we say. And then over that, I've been going through periods over a couple of occasions now, going to counselling as well, try and build up ways to deal with that depression. So it's been a long process, but over the years, I've learned to not just deal with periods when I'm depressed, but also to sort of manage the highs as well. So for me, there's two elements. There's the low, the very low, that's that kind of loss of hope, loss of self-belief. And then there's a high, and that's the kind of the valleys and the mountains. So I've over the years, what I've tried to do is to focus on bringing myself out of that valley, bringing myself away from those periods where I feel low, and try and get those periods of where I feel good to last longer. And that's sort of a visualization technique I've used to move myself forward over the years, and that has actually improved. So those valleys, I would say, are not so deep, that I'm not in those for as long. I try and push myself out of them, or if I struggle to have the energy to do anything, I think, well, at some point I'm gonna come out of this. So I've honed in on various things that help me stay in a stronger mood, a happier mood for longer periods of time. So changing my diet, eating healthier, exercise, and also sort of a mental attitude, saying I'm going to do it. I'm I'm going to push myself that little bit harder to get myself to that high. You are always going to have those dips, and people without mental health issues, without depression, will have dips, but they will perhaps not be in as so regular or so dramatic as someone who does have mental health issues. So there's very much it's like you said, it's not quite recovery, but it's embracing what you have and learning to work with it, and and looking back at, I was low mood for a month, about 2 months ago, and low mood again. Well, what things were going on in my life at the end of that last month when I started to feel better? Was it because I was seeing certain friends, or maybe I was creating something, or maybe I was doing something slightly different in my life? Maybe I broke a routine, which was nice to come out, and that break in routine helped change. So it's always worth reflecting. I think for me it was the counselling, because it gave me a set of methods and practices that I could use to try and sort of embrace and also control the depression. And there were a lot of things different. I tried. Some didn't work. Some worked really well. So the positivity log, writing down everything that positive happens, that really worked. So that was a milestone. I find that even the first day I started that, at the end of the day I was reflecting. I'd only written a couple of things down, but I was looking at it going, yeah, actually, that was a good thing. So that was a big milestone for me. And the other one was, for me, saying, it's very easy when depressed to say, I'll do it tomorrow. So for me, another milestone was that little bit of a push that I was saying, I just push myself a little bit harder just to get one thing done. It doesn't have to be something major, but there might be like 2 or 3 things I think I'll do it tomorrow. Don't feel up to it, I'm too tired, etc., etc. I've found an excuse. I say, no, I'm going to do one thing, at least one of those things, and just get it done. And at the time while I'm doing it, I'll feel, I can't do this. But when you've got it done, there's that little bit of the high that leads you into the next day when you can start to tackle things. So the other milestone I found is just push myself to say, right, I'm going to do it.